Hey all, I know it's been a while since the last video, and I know that I say that all the time, so apologies. Some time ago, I put out a video where we talked about this idea of how to speak well and how to present your case well. And we looked at 3 points very briefly: accuracy, specificity, and having enough time to actually make your case. We did a video also where we focused on accuracy. That's knowing your stuff, getting the right details. In this video, I want to talk about specificity. Now, specificity is very close in terms of definition and understanding to the idea of accuracy, but it does differ in some important ways. So let's start off with a brief definition from the Oxford English Dictionary, the Dictionary of Dictionaries. The OED says that specificity is the fact of being specific in character, the quality of being clearly defined, precise, or detailed, the quality of belonging or relating exclusively or especially to a particular person, thing, or class of people or things. Now that's a very clear and important definition. I'd like to look at a clear example from Scripture where we can explore this idea of specificity. In Matthew 9, we have this scene where Jesus calls Matthew to him, and then he goes and has dinner with Matthew. And the text says that he reclined with the tax collectors and sinners. He called them to meet, and they had dinner, and apparently it was like a party, and they had wine, and they ate, and they discussed a number of things. Now, a number of non-believers and very liberal Christians use this as an example for Jesus tolerating sin and being okay with sin. They say this shows that Jesus had no problem with these people's different lifestyles and beliefs, and he tolerated it, and this is a clear example of that. The problem with that is that that's neither accurate, according to what the text says, nor is it specific enough to account for the nuance in that passage. Specifically in verses 10 to 12, it says that he reclined with the sinners, and then he was challenged by the Pharisees, and his response is that it's not the healthy that need a physician, but the sick. So if you are trying to respond to this challenge or discuss this issue in some fashion or another, you need to understand the nuance. Now, there's a subpoint that I discussed in the original video, and that's speaking slowly and clearly, and I'm trying to exemplify that as I go through this talk right now. The nuance of that text is very important. This idea that Jesus called the sick, not the healthy, relates directly to the verses right before that in the text, where Jesus reclined with the sinners and tax collectors. The specific point, and this is where specificity matters, being very clear and direct and narrowing your point down to the truth of the passage, the lesson there is that Jesus didn't tolerate the sin. He didn't like the sin. He loved people. And so he met with them because he's the physician, and he wanted to heal them of their sickness, which is sin. So it wasn't about accepting or tolerating sin. It was about trying to heal and fix sin, which he ultimately did on the cross anyway. But the point is that if you're going to discuss this issue, you need to be very specific, very clear, and slow and deliberate in understanding and explaining what the passage means. So next time you engage in a discussion, make sure that what you're talking about is made clear. You're very specific. You consider specificity when you give your explanation. Thanks so much for watching, and God bless.